Every individual wandering through the cycle of rebirth inherits the consequences of their own actions, both good and bad. Our physical appearance and the course of our lives are shaped entirely by this personal past karma. The truth is, karma is the real creator. We are born with the imprints of our past deeds. This is why human beings differ so much. Some are beautiful, some are not. Some are tall, some are short, some are dark-skinned, and some are fair. The fundamental root cause of all these differences is simply our past actions. If we look closely, these actions begin in the mind as thoughts, known as mental karma. The moment a thought arises, it gets embedded within our consciousness, gaining the power to shape our future. There are 3 types of negative mental actions that corrupt our minds: covetousness, ill will, and wrong view. The first is covetousness, greedy longing. This means constantly plotting and wishing to take someone else's property for yourself. Even if you never say it out loud or act on it, simply harboring this greedy desire in your mind forms a powerful negative karma. It is not about criticizing others. It is the silent, unrighteous greed of wanting what belongs to another. The second is ill will. This is not just ordinary anger, like getting upset with your children. Ill will is a deeper, toxic state of mind. It is the malicious wish for someone else to suffer, ruin, or die. The moment you secretly wish for someone's downfall, that dark intention becomes a fully formed mental karma, leaving a lasting negative imprint on your own mind. When a thought gains enough power, it becomes viable, just like a seed. Think of a tree that bears fruit. As the fruit ripens, the tiny seed inside matures too. If that seed meets soil and water, it sprouts into a new plant. In the same way, what we call destiny or karma begins the very moment a small thought is formed in your mind, embedding itself within your consciousness. Just as a seed holds the potential to grow, our thoughts gain the power to produce real effects in our lives. Take wrong view or negative mindset, for example. This happens when someone denies the natural law of cause and effect, believing that good actions don't matter, bad actions have no consequences, or that everything happens purely by random chance. When you adopt this mindset, a negative force plants itself deeply within your consciousness. When the right conditions align, this hidden seed sprouts, creating negative outcomes in your life. On the flip side, positive karma works the exact same way. It begins with non-covetousness, having no desire to take what belongs to others, and instead wishing for them to thrive with what they have. This is a noble mindset. It also includes goodwill, the simple, beautiful thought that wishes, "May no one suffer, and may all beings be happy." This mindset is rooted in pure, loving kindness. Like a healthy seed, this positive mental action takes root and grows, preparing to bring good things into your life. Finally, there is right view, the understanding that doing good brings good results, and doing bad brings bad results. This is the foundation of clear, correct thinking. Looking at the bigger picture, our intentions also shape how we speak. Positive speech means always telling the truth, refusing to spread rumors that divide people, and instead bringing people together. It means avoiding harsh words, choosing kindness, and speaking only when it is useful and meaningful. The moment these words leave your lips, they become part of your karma. Once an action becomes your karma, it gains the ultimate power to shape your reality and design the story of your life. Unwholesome verbal actions include lying, spreading rumors to cause division, using harsh language, and speaking without logic or reason. When driven by negative intentions, these words create bad karma that shapes a difficult future. Similarly, physical actions like taking a life carry heavy consequences. Whether it is a small creature or a large one, a virtuous person or a wicked one, killing is always a negative deed. The moment a life is taken, harmful bodily karma is formed, ready to bring negative outcomes. Stealing someone else's property or engaging in sexual misconduct also creates powerful negative energy within the heart and mind. Together, these actions form what we call the courses of good and bad karma. In reality, karma is the true creator of our lives. Think of it like an artist holding a paintbrush. A beautiful painting results in a beautiful image, while an ugly painting results in an ugly one. In the same way, karma shapes our lives, which is why people in this world have different appearances and life conditions. Some are wealthy, some are poor, some are healthy, and others struggle. The Buddha taught that our own past actions are what differentiate us. When the Buddha shared these teachings, he was not repeating ancient myths, reading from old books, or guessing based on tradition. Through his own deep meditation and practice, he gained higher spiritual vision. He gained the direct knowledge of cause and effect, seeing exactly how specific actions lead to specific results. He watched the continuous cycle of life and rebirth, like someone watching a screen, clearly seeing why each living being received their unique form based on their past deeds. He taught from absolute, direct, personal experience. When looking at why someone is suffering today, we can often trace the effect back to its original cause in a past life. There is a fascinating book about this titled Many Mansions by Gina Sirminara, which was also translated into Burmese by the chief abbot of Shame Mayaying Meditation Center. This book explores fate and karma through records of patients treated using hypnosis. The people featured in these cases didn't initially believe in karma or past lives. Most belonged to entirely different religions. In one striking case, a woman bound to a wheelchair sought help for her severe leg and knee pain. Under hypnosis, the practitioner looked into her past to find the root cause of her disability. The practitioner discovered that 7 lifetimes ago, during the Roman Empire, this woman was a spectator at the Colosseum. She watched as innocent people were thrown into an enclosure to be mauled by lions. As one victim desperately struggled and ran for their life, she found the horror entertaining and laughed. Because of that cruel laughter 7 lifetimes ago, she was born disabled in this life. This story is a powerful reminder that karma is real. When the Buddha looked at the world with his divine eye, he could see these exact energetic blueprints of destiny. He saw precisely when an action was committed and how its consequences would manifest. Ultimately, it shows that we all live and fare in complete accordance with our own past deeds. During the lifetime of the Buddha, there was a young woman named Mallika. She was an ordinary commoner, the daughter of a poor florist. One day, she encountered the Buddha and faithfully offered him 3 rounds of flatbread, which she had brought for her own lunch. After accepting her food, the Buddha smiled and prophesied to his disciple, Ananda, that this simple act of generosity would soon lead her to become a queen. Around that time, King Pasenadi of Kosala was at war with his nephew, Ajatasattu. The war broke out over a bitter family dispute. Ajatasattu had killed his own father, which caused his mother, the king's sister, to die of a broken heart. Furious and grieving, King Pasenadi went to war to reclaim a piece of land he had originally gifted to his sister. However, on one particular day, King Pasenadi was defeated and forced to flee the battlefield alone. Separated from his army, he rode his horse blindly until he stumbled into the flower garden where Mallika worked. Seeing the exhausted king, Mallika welcomed him with a warm, cheerful smile, took the reins of his horse, and cared for him with deep respect. Safe and relieved, the king took a brief nap. Impressed by her kindness, intelligence, and hospitality, the king took Mallika back to his palace. Even though she wasn't traditionally beautiful, her wisdom, gentle speech, and dutiful nature won his heart. They were married, and she was crowned his chief queen. Later on, her intelligence would save the king from a terrifying crisis. One night, King Pasenadi experienced 16 terrifying nightmares. His court advisors warned him that these dreams predicted grave danger to his life, wealth, and kingdom. To ward off this misfortune, they convinced the king to perform a massive ritual sacrifice. This ritual required the slaughter of animals and humans in sets of 4s: 4 cows, 4 goats, 4 sheep, and 4 human beings. Lacking the wisdom to question his advisors, the terrified king believed them and ordered the preparations to begin. Seeing the chaotic preparations in the palace, Queen Mallika approached her husband and asked, "What are you doing, great king?" The king was furious. "Can't you see a snake is biting my head?" he shouted. "I am in immense pain, and you're just taking things easy." When the queen asked what was wrong, he explained his terrible dreams. She replied, "Your Majesty, the Buddha is right here. Why do you believe the Brahmins instead of asking him?" Realizing his mistake, the king visited the Buddha, who reassured him, "These dreams carry no good or bad consequences for you. They are merely omens of the distant future." Thanks to Queen Mallika's exceptional intelligence, the massive sacrificial ritual was cancelled. On another occasion, a grieving disciple came to the Buddha. Seeing his tear-stained face, the Buddha asked what had happened. "My beloved young son has passed away." The man wept. The Buddha gently explained that grief, lamentation, and sorrow are rooted in affection. He taught that sorrow originates from love. However, the disciple refused to accept this, believing that love should only bring happiness, not pain. Disagreeing with the Buddha, he walked away. On his way, he met a group of men drinking. When he told them about the Buddha's teaching, the drunkards agreed with him, saying, "Exactly. Loving is delightful. How could it cause sorrow?" Eventually, rumors of this debate reached the royal palace. King Kosala asked Queen Mallika, "Is it true that your Buddha teaches that worry and crying come from love?" Mallika replied, "Your Majesty, if the Buddha said it, it must be true." Frustrated, the king accused her of blindly taking the Buddha's side and dismissed her. To confirm the exact words, Queen Mallika sent a messenger named Nalijangha to ask the Buddha directly. A man named Nalijangha once went to the Buddha and asked, "Is it true you taught that all grief and sorrow come from love?" The Buddha replied, "Yes, that is true. Let me explain why. Here in the city of Savatthi, a woman lost her mind when her mother passed away. Why? Because she loved her mother so deeply. The same thing happened when her father died. Her intense grief came entirely from her deep affection for them." The Buddha shared another example. Consider a young woman who married the man she loved against her parents' wishes. To separate them, her parents planned to force her into an arranged marriage. Devastated, she sent word to the man she loved. In desperation, he came, killed her with a knife, and then took his own life so they wouldn't be parted. This ancient story from the scriptures sounds just like modern-day tragedies. It shows how love and the fear of separation can drive people to extreme suffering, even death. This is why I teach that sorrow and lamentation originate from attachment. Nalijangha took this explanation back to Queen Mallika, who then used it to open the king's eyes. She asked the king, "Your Majesty, do you love your daughter Vajiri?" The king replied, "Of course, I love her dearly." "If she were to pass away, how would you feel?" she asked. The king answered, "I would be heartbroken. I love her so much that I might even lose my own life from grief." That is exactly what the Buddha meant. Mallika explained, "Sorrow begins with love." She then asked about his love for his queen, Vasabhakatya. If something happened to her, would you be happy? "How could I be happy? I would be in deep distress," the king replied. Mallika pointed out again that this proved the Buddha's words. Finally, she asked about his young son, the commander-in-chief Vidudaba. "Your Majesty, you love and rely on your son. If something terrible were to happen to him right now, how would you feel?" He replied, "I would be heartbroken, miserable, and my life would be in danger." Finally, Queen Mallika asked, "Your Majesty, do you love me?" "Of course I do," he responded. "And how would you feel if something happened to me?" she asked. He answered, "I would be deeply distressed." She then explained that this was exactly what the Buddha meant by teaching that sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair are all rooted in love. Only then did King Kosala fully understand, remarking, "The Buddha is truly possessed of great wisdom." After rinsing her mouth and paying homage to the Buddha, Queen Mallika noted how accurately the Buddha preaches the truth. Human sufferings like grief and despair are clearly painful. Yet, people rarely realize that this pain stems from attachment and love. They believe love only brings happiness, but the Buddha explained that it actually causes sorrow and despair. Fortunately, Queen Mallika's sharp intellect helped clear the king's misunderstandings. One day, Queen Mallika visited the Buddha to ask about the portraits of destiny. Although her questions focused on women, the answers apply to men as well. Everyone's life unfolds according to the portrait drawn by their past actions. Queen Mallika asked, "Venerable Sir, why are some women physically unattractive, impoverished, and completely lacking in influence or status? On the other hand, why are some women unattractive but wealthy and highly influential? A third type of woman is beautiful but poor and powerless. And finally, a fourth type is beautiful, wealthy, and highly influential. Venerable Sir, what is the root cause of these four differences?" The Buddha explained that in her past lives, the first type of woman was short-tempered, easily angered, and held long grudges. She never practiced charity and envied others' success. This negative karma shaped her destiny, causing her to be born ugly, poor, and without dignity. Anyone who acts this way will face the same miserable fate. The second type of woman is short-tempered but generous. Although her anger causes her to be born unattractive in every lifetime, her charity brings her wealth, power, and respect. The third type of woman is patient, cheerful, and free of grudges. However, she is stingy and envious. Because of her patience, she is born beautiful, but due to her lack of charity, she lives in extreme poverty. The fourth type of woman is patient, generous, and never envious. As a result, she is born beautiful, wealthy, and dignified. These destinies are shaped by karma, not by a creator god. The Buddha said in the Mallika Sutta, just as no one can manually paint the complex patterns on a butterfly's wings, human destiny is shaped by the immense power of our own minds, actions, and perceptions. Upon hearing this, Queen Mallika realized, Venerable Sir, I must have been short-tempered in my past life, which is why I am unattractive today. But because I was charitable and free of envy, I became a wealthy queen with great authority. Despite her appearance, Mallika ruled with power. She then made a firm vow, Venerable Sir, from this day forward, I will control my anger, continue my charity, and never envy anyone. This is an inspiring example of replacing anger with patience, forgiveness, and loving kindness. Although Queen Mallika was highly intelligent and often helped King Kosala, she met a tragic fate at her death. She had committed a shameful act and lied about it. While the king blindly believed her, Mallika was consumed by guilt. She constantly worried, the Buddha and his great disciples will know what I did. Because she passed away with a mind full of anxiety and regret, she was reborn in hell. This reminds us how dangerous a distressed mind can be at the final moment of life. Sorrow is the anxiety we feel when losing what we love, fearing the worst, or regretting the past. Mental distress, however, is that lingering guilt and discomfort after making a mistake. If someone dies with this heavy, unsettled mind, they fall into a lower realm. Karma plays no favorites. If your actions lead to suffering, that is where you will go. If they align with goodness, you will elevate your life. Everything is determined by your own mind and your own actions. Since this power lies entirely within you, mastering and purifying your own mind is your ultimate responsibility. Consider the story of Queen Mallika from the teachings. At the moment of her death, she was overwhelmed by guilt and anger over a past mistake, which briefly caused her to fall into a lower realm. But her lifetime of good deeds, supporting the Buddha, practicing mindfulness and helping others, did not abandon her. Her positive energy intervened, cutting short her suffering, and after just 1 week, she was reborn into a heavenly realm. When she passed, her husband, King Kosala, was devastated. He visited the Buddha daily to ask where she had been reborn, but for 7 days he kept forgetting to ask. The Buddha, in his wisdom, knew that if the king heard his wife was in a lower realm, his grief would destroy his faith. Only on the 8th day, after the queen had ascended to heaven, did the Buddha reveal the truth. The king was overjoyed, knowing how devoted and generous his queen had always been. Therefore, remember that the life we have now is a portrait painted by our own past actions. We alone inherit the consequences of what we do. To ensure a beautiful and peaceful destiny, we must practice mindfulness and continuously cultivate goodness within ourselves. May you all find peace and wisdom. Peace, peace, peace.